As you look at the beautiful American flag, you're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show. Today we're going to talk about the judiciary will rape you. Now that is both practically reality, and also they do it by proxy and the things they take away from you. We're going to talk about the dirty, stinking judiciary in the state of Tennessee. Welcome, welcome. And we're going to talk about some cases where they have literally raped people in the state of Tennessee. They lie, cheat, rob, and steal, and literally sell rulings for raping women, for sex. Wow, in the Tennessee judiciary. And these are just ones we know about. So welcome, welcome. Come on board. We'll put it to you like it is. Stand up against the rapist judiciary. Talk about some real live cases where they really do that. So welcome, come on board. Charles Van Morgan Show. Let's get on with the show and talk about how Tennessee, in the crooked state of Tennessee, how these judges get by with some pretty crooked stuff against you, and real live cases and controversies where they've been caught after it's gone on for years, and that's just the ones we know about. So welcome, welcome. If you want to hear this anywhere else, Charles Van Morgan Show. Everybody else tries to soften it down, politicize it so it don't make people mad in power because they might get some of their votes. Charles Van Morgan Show is the only place you'll hear this. Straight up, truthful, pure truth, as truthful as it can get. Bravely stand in the face of power in the state of Tennessee. Imagine that, stand up against the judiciary. The same people that rape, rob, and steal and give rulings, take people's children away across the state of Tennessee all day, every day. And I'm probably the only one I know of, if there's somebody else you tell me about it, that's standing up against the crooked judiciary in the state of Tennessee, and it's all across the nation. And something needs to be done. So we're trying to do that. Trying to fight lawfully against the judiciary. Now they'd like to kill me. They'd like to see me dead. And they've already tried to perpetrate false charges against me that fail, and they've already said that I have no First Amendment rights to speak against them. Imagine that. The only branch of government in power that doesn't have the other side running against them in campaigns. It's only retention election. It's replace or retain. They don't have another side competing against them. So none of the truth gets out. And they're appointed by people in power to rule for the people in power. And nobody substantially stands up against them and tells you what they really are. The Tennessee judiciary and all across the nation is, for the most part, now there are a few good judges, not very many, and they're crooked. And we're going to tell you just how crooked they are. If you thought they were crooked, they're 10 times worse than what you think. They have literally numerous cases that we know of for years before they were ever put out of office, raped women, literally gave rulings for sex. That's called rape. Took their drugs in drug courts that they've been over. And the other judiciary covers for them for years and years until it gets so out of hand that people just do not trust the judiciary that they try to bring back a semblance of accountability, to give them some credibility and say, yeah, we disciplined that judge. although it went on for years and years. And sometimes the federal authorities have to intervene. State judges won't do a damn thing about it. That's how dirty your Tennessee judiciary is. Now, there's another candidate that is running, and they want to keep Tennessee, Tennessee. So I think we need to change it and give a judiciary that keeps Tennessee in compliance with the Constitution of the United States of America, and they're not in compliance with it. There's no due process for the most part in the Tennessee courtroom. You get home cooked by the establishment. They do whatever they want to do. And we're going to talk about some cases today. We are running against the judiciary. I'm not running as a judge, but I'm running against them. And telling people, asking people right now, you can vote the judiciary out of office. And you need to, for your own good. For your own good, for your own safety, health, protection, well-being, and that of your children. You have little children, little daughters, maybe I'd vote against the judiciary. There's some sick, pathetic scumbags. And they've taken away my First Amendment right. Tried to, adjudicated that I have no First Amendment right to campaign against the judiciary. Literally drugged me into court for campaigning against the judiciary. So I know this bothers them, and I know it works because they're squealing like the pigs that they are, because they tell you what hurts them. Because when you hurt them, they try to fight back. Now, I'm supposed to be able to say bad stuff truthfully against the judiciary in America. We're supposed to be able to speak out against the government. First Amendment right. The judges are supposed to protect my speech against them. Will they do that? Hell no. Hell no. You have to praise the judiciary, even in politics. Now, it's one thing to go in a courtroom and speak out against the judiciary in their damn courtrooms. That's one thing. Hopefully y'all can hear me. That's one thing. But it's a completely other thing to exercise your First Amendment rights out on a public sidewalk or in a public sphere and try to get them unelected, try to get them voted out, try to get them replaced. I have a right under God to do that. And according to the First Amendment, that recognizes our God-given rights. We're supposed to be able to do that, can we? Now, I've been put through it for standing up against the judiciary. Why is that? It's because they're crooked. If they're not so crooked, why don't they just say publicly that they're honest and explain their rogue rulings? Explain why they've taken people's children away to the highest bidder. Explain why they cover up sexual abuse among state employees. Bury it. Punish people that report it. Explain that, because they're dirty as hell. They speak out against you every day in their rulings. How about we speak out against them? I'll be the front man. How about we speak out against them in our vote? You can vote today. Mark replace on all the Tennessee judiciary. Let's get rid of every damn one of them. Send a message. Send a message. Somebody trying to get my YouTube copyright and play loud music and roll the windows down. People hate other people that disagree with them. Wow. And I'm not doing this for my own good. I'm doing it for your good. So I'm supposed to be able to speak out against the judiciary, can I? Well, I've sure had a lot of trouble by the judiciary speaking out against the judiciary. They got every right to speak against me. They do it in the rulings all the time. They're lies and against the Constitution. Without due process, a right to a fair, unbiased hearing, you won't get one in the Tennessee courtroom. Let's send them a message. Go into the courts, into your courtrooms and listen to them. And then after you listen to them, get a good semblance of how dirtbaggish these people are, how thuggish they are, and how people that are well-connected get by, and people that aren't well-connected pay full price even when they're not guilty. And then go to the voting booth and vote them out. Don't retain them. They're on the ballot now. Retain, keep them, don't don't hit that, don't mark that box or replace. Mark the box, replace. Get rid of the, they're on the ballot right now. That's more important than any vote that you can cast today, and you can do it in Knox County, all across the state of Tennessee, both the Judiciary. And we're going to explain exactly why. We're going to talk about some bold-faced lies behind the bench that they're doing, and they are literally and figuratively raping you for 4 rulings. You have sex with them, you get a ruling in your favor. Maybe. Sometimes they don't even do that. They just cheat you out, you know, like a man that won't pay somebody, a prostitute. I'm not saying you're a prostitute, but that's what they do. They're crooked and dirty as hell. I wouldn't even trust them. You're liable to get cheated for what they do. And they're wicked people. And we're going to talk about some cases where they have ruled that I know is completely false. One of them is a former trooper, not me, is another one, who was wrongly fired because he reported sexual harassment in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. A supervisor was harassing a secretary at the Tennessee Highway Patrol, right here at the Knoxville office post. And the trooper, one of the best troopers in the state, was hurt in a pursuit, could have been near hurt, because he stopped a car in a pursuit that was running from several law enforcement agencies, a danger to the public, and he blocked them in, and he ended up, the car landed on top of his patrol car. Could have been killed, dedicated to protecting the public. So an honorable trooper, very honorable trooper, and the trooper in Cookeville, who's getting an award today, or got one yesterday, he ended a pursuit because he pulled up on the car. For some reason, hope y'all can hear me. Because she was having some type of medical issue, and police couldn't get her stopped, so a policeman was in pursuit of her, several, and one policeman, in order to stop her from endangering the public, I think it was a red light she was about to go through, he pulled his car in front of hers and allowed her to slam into his car to prevent her from injuring the public. So he literally set up a moving roadblock for her and protected her, other people's lives, putting his own life at risk. It even knocked his shoulder out of place, and he re-put it back in. So the chief in Cookeville, who I know, was giving him an award, a life-saving award for heroic performance on the job, which is good. That's the same thing Trooper Marty Nix did at one time when he was on the Tennessee Highway Patrol. So I hope y'all can hear me. And he saved lives. Charles, one question: how can you be talking but not looking at the chat? It's easy. I don't want to be distracted by things that are not true sometimes. So yeah, and you look at the chat. Y'all do a good job of that, and I'll try to read some of the chat later on. I'll try to read some of it. And so we will. But Trooper Marty Nix, we're talking about the dirty Tennessee Judiciary. Who says this stuff? Everybody's afraid to. But this is my forte, and everybody shouldn't do what I'm doing. You got to do what you do, and I'll do what I do. And I even have people tell me not to do what I do. Well, you do you and let me do me. Charles Van Morgan's here to fight for right. So this is on. And we're letting them know we're here. And we're gonna try to get some judges voted out of office. Now you say, oh, that's horrible. Well, they'd like to kill me. All I'm doing is being in the political arena, saying vote them out and telling you why you should vote them out, because they're dirty as hell. And I got them squealing like pigs already. So we know they're damaging them worldwide. From the Philippines, I got a hat on the Philippines, but I'm American, but thank you all in the Philippines for watching. I appreciate other countries. Worldwide, people are listening to Tennessee Judiciary. This is ground zero. Dirtiest judiciary in America, I believe. And they will rape you symbolically and in actuality for rulings in your favor. And then they'll even cheat you out of the rulings. They'll just tell you they're going to. So it's not something that is not unheard of. It is very common. People inside the court know about it. They don't say nothing about it because the judiciary will have you locked up for no reason. They'll take your First Amendment rights away. They think they do. For no reason. While you're out trying to spread a message of safety for the community. So this is what Marty Nix did. He heard that a lady at the Highway Patrol Post, the one off Kingston Pike, of course they built them a bigger office, bigger, nicer, better office for themselves now, and probably have better security so that supervisors can sexually harass women in the Highway Patrol Post now without getting caught. So, I mean, I'd just be weary. But he heard about sexual harassment through the complainant and through another trooper. And according to the general orders, he is supposed to report that sexual harassment to supervisors and let them know. And they have a duty to investigate it, even if they don't believe it's true. They have the duty to investigate it, a report. Hello. And how's it going? So I won't put you on here. What you got?
My card. Text me your info.
Let me give you some. Okay, yeah.
Text me info.
I will. Anthony Carter, CHR. And what is it you do now? Homes remodeling. Yeah. So, very good man here. Good man. Call him. You can trust him. I guarantee you. You can trust him. I know that for a fact based on experience. I don't do this for everybody, based on experience. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. So he is into home remodeling. Give him a call. And I can guarantee you, this man will not lie or cheat or rob you. If he does something wrong, he will make it right. I guarantee that. So very good man. Carter Remodeling Homes. And enjoy doing this for him because he's a good guy. Very good guy. So I like to thank him for giving me the opportunity to do that. I love to help good people, and he's good people. Trust me. Glad he got me to do that. Give him a call. His information's on here, and I'll show it to you again. Very good person, Anthony Carter, and there's his number. Proudly serving Knoxville and East Tennessee. So give him a call. So very good person. I'll vouch for him personally. I mean, when you had experiences with somebody and you know how they are, you know how they handle things, then you can say, hey, this ain't somebody that's going to mistreat you. So yeah, excellent man. But Marty Nix called the investigative human resources department like he's supposed to. General order says you have to report sexual harassment instances that I believe was actually taking place, or you can be disciplined if you know about it and don't report it. So he reported it like he's supposed to. So Deborah Martin investigates it. Same one that investigated me. Deborah Martin investigates it, and she come to the conclusion that there was no sexual harassment and that Marty Nix made it up. And so they initiated proceedings to terminate him because he reported sexual harassment. And this is under a Democrat governor, Governor Lion Rich Billionaire Bredesen, who got rich off health care. So Marty Nix reports this. Sexual harassment, where's the Me Too movement? I mean, you know, Me Too movement, you ought to be involved in going and voting to replace the Tennessee Judiciary if you mean anything that you say, because the worst rapists in the world are in your Tennessee courtrooms because they have the color of law and they're doing it. And there's many more than what they're admitting to. There's 4 of them that did it for years, and they know they've been doing it for years. They got so bad that in order to keep a semblance of legitimacy, they had to hang them out. But these people are raping you all over the state, both figuratively and literally. Dangerous judges. Take your guns off of you before you walk in there, ladies, and they rape you for rulings. Some of it forcibly, not even any deal made. And they take people's drugs off of them. They may be high as a kite. So you think you go in a dark alley and you get raped by some thug. No, you go in your courtroom because you're ordered to. You get a subpoena. Even if you didn't do anything wrong, you're ordered to and face a rapist that is worse than somebody that would rape you in an alley, doing it under the color of law. And that's what goes on in Tennessee. I'm standing up against that. Now, I'm not saying to kill them, shoot them. That's what they're saying about me. I damn guarantee you they are. Look at the damage I've been put through. Because I'm saying, vote the judiciary out, don't retain them. I'm allowed to say that, or am I? Now, the judiciary has retaliated against me like you have never seen. But I'm still holding the torch. I'm still fighting like hell because I believe we can beat them. Because you can't go around raping, robbing, and stealing and convince the public that you're a good person when you're not. It's easy to point out. We're going to point out today the things these people are doing. And if you think you'll abide by the law and get by with ever having to go to court, well, you'd be very simply wrong. You can be abiding by the law. They will have somebody knock on your door, hand you a subpoena, make you come to court. And if you don't go to face one of the rapist judges, for instance, here at Knox County Courthouse, covered up by the Knox County prosecutor, the one supposed to prosecute people for raping you, is part in it. They're part of it. And if you don't go, they'll come and put you in handcuffs and drag you to jail and put you in front of a judge who will rape you. And do whatever the hell he wants to do. That's what they do. We need to replace these judges. Now, I don't know for sure which ones are doing it now. But in order to protect society, we got to send them a message and vote every damn one of them out because it's covered up. They don't even get rid of these judges. When the first report comes out, when they rape somebody, the first person that is brave enough to say something about it, when they've been doing it for much longer, but people are afraid of them because they do what they do to me. They try to ruin your life, try to chase you down the street, try to destroy your credibility. But I'm not worried about that. I'm a fighter. That's what I do. I can take the heat. We'll dodge the bullets the best we can. I fear God, not some dirty, nasty, stinchy Tennessee judge. I know a lot of them. I met them. I've been in their classrooms. They're stinchy. They're dirty as hell. And ladies, I know I don't have a lot of following as much as I do men, but let me tell you, they're raping you in your courthouse, forcing you to go there, unjustifiably sometimes, and they're sick people. The judiciary, you have an opportunity to get up today, and you can't afford not to go down there and mark replace on that box. All the judiciary in Knox County, all across the state, send these dirtbags a message, and it's ingrained in the system. They tolerate a level of rape among the judiciary in in their friends in high places. They're allowed to do that. They think that's okay because they're in power, they're better than us, and they can do that to you. It's not a big deal. You're just nobody. They think you're an animal, and they do whatever they want to do. I'm telling you, that's your Tennessee Judiciary. And I'll show you some bold-faced lies. And if you dare to stand up against them, they'll try to destroy you. So you don't have to stand up against them by being what I am and doing what I do. All you got to do is go vote quietly, mark your ballot, replace. You can get rid of them right now. Send a message all across Tennessee. We know what's going on. We're not fighting you to your face and punching you and shooting you. We're getting rid of you. And then after we replace the judiciary, we'll start the investigations, hopefully, and put these SOBs in jail where they belong. The dirty judiciary in Tennessee, it's much worse than you think. We're going to tell you about some specific cases where they have raped women, and that's all that has taken place. And as soon as they knew about it, they got rid of them. It doesn't happen anymore. If you believe that, then let me educate you, because I'm saying that sarcastically. It happens every day somewhere in a Tennessee courtroom all across America. Rape of a woman, sometimes forcibly. And they might even be hollering in the courtroom. The guards outside to protect them, they'll go and make sure they're okay. As long as the judge says high five, they let them continue the rape. They've done that here in Knox County. It's pathetic. And I'm speaking out against it, so they'd like to kill me. Well, they can stand outside the courthouse and write that we're not doing that. We're honest people. No, they're not. No, they're not. They're as far from honest as you can get. Some of them are demonically possessed. They're evil people. Some of them are in a drug-induced sickness. And it's all across the state. Not every one of them. For the most part, the judiciary in Tennessee is crooked as hell. And that is the message that I want y'all to get. So like, share, comment, and subscribe. So, if you're just listening, welcome to the Charles Van Morgan Show. We're talking about the dirty judiciary in the state of Tennessee. And we're going to give you some specific cases of how judges have raped people. You're in danger in Tennessee of having your property and everything you have taken away from you by a dirty judge in Tennessee. So Marty Nix reported sexual harassment, and through a procedure that mandated that he do that, trying to protect the secretary at the Tennessee Highway Patrol Post. And the lady that investigated that, the woman, the piece of dirt attorney that investigated that, Deborah Lyon Martin, she's a liar. Now that's not defamation. She's not only a liar, she allows perjury and a state attorney, and probably got her position because of the movement to the equity movement, if you know what I mean. But she started investigating somebody that reported sexual harassment and fired Marty Nix for trying to protect people. Imagine that, she fired Marty Nix. So, let's see, thank you, Charles. I don't forget, we are in the beginning. Okay. So, she started investigating Marty Nix. So we'll go, because he reported sexual harassment. And you can't do that. You can't report the upper echelon, the brass at Tennessee Highway Patrol. So she initiated termination procedures, and they fired Marty Nix for reporting sexual harassment, for trying to protect women. Now, remember, this is a trooper that risked his life, like one that got an award for stopping a pursuit by using his patrol car, and the car landed on top of his car, the one he was getting stopped, that was a danger to the public, he literally put his life on the line in front of the car, ended up on top of his car, could have killed him. A hero in the Highway Patrol. One got an award for that the other day. Of course, not in the Highway Patrol. You don't get an award unless you're daddy's boy or something. So he reported sexual harassment, and they fired him because he reported sexual harassment against the brass of the Highway Patrol. And it went before an administrative law judge. He's fighting to get his job back. And the crooked captain over the Highway Patrol district backed up his administrative lieutenant, who was, I believe, sex harassing the secretary and demeaning her. And they fired Marty for reporting it. So he's trying to fight for his job back. They put him all over the news media in a bad light, and there's a sick Highway Patrol right there. So like, share, comment. Data centers. Well, we'll cover that another show. So can y'all hear me? Somebody tell me if you can hear me. We don't have a lot of viewers on here, so I'm wondering if we're getting out. So he reported this sexual harassment. They fired him for doing what he's supposed to do. And then he fought it in court the way he's supposed to. An administrative law judge heard the case several hours, all the witnesses and testimony at the Tennessee Highway Patrol Post administrative hearing. It's semi-legal, but it's a little more informal. But it's a legal proceeding, administrative law. And the administrative judge ruled that he should get his job back. So, put him back to work. The state, in its unlimited amount of money, knowing damn good and well, if they appealed it to an appeals court judge, that the appeals court judges got promoted for backing up the governor, Governor Bredesen at that time. And Governor Bredesen didn't give a damn about sexual harassment. He shredded sexual harassment complaints. Literally had sexual harassment complaints that should have been under investigation, looked into, shredded the documents. Governor Bredesen shredded the documents. He didn't care about people being sexually harassed. He cares about his upper echelon that was out sexually harassing people. So the administrative law judge put Marty back to work. So there are some judges that will try to adjudicate fairly, and he gave him 30 days suspension. What for, I don't know. He's wanting to give the state a little credibility, saying he should have been suspended, not fired. He shouldn't even had nothing happen to him. He reported sexual harassment. He didn't say the person was guilty. He's relaying information that he got from the horse's mouth. So, of course, they get the complainant, and, you really want to go through with this, even though it likely happened, because she knows what's going to happen. So she goes along with the establishment, even though she's being sexually harassed. Imagine how they get by with that crap. So the administrative law judge put him back to work, and then the state appeals it to the appeals court, and the appeals court, more in the hands of the governor, because you don't get promoted to appeals court or the Supreme Court unless you're going to rule for the governor, not rule facts and law, rule according to the Constitution, rule for the governor. He promotes these judges because they'll rule for him. Now, he doesn't say that, but in practicality, look how it works. So the appeals court overturned his reinstatement and reinitiated the conclusion that Marty should be fired for reporting through their procedure a sexual harassment complaint that did take place in the Tennessee Highway Patrol. And so he appealed it to the Supreme Court, and that's even more under their control. They denied cert because they're crooked as hell. They're dirty, stinchy, nasty judges. So they took the job away of a hero trooper who risked his life to protect you for your safety, health protection, and well-being. So we got a couple officers over here. They may be watching me, I don't know. So like, share, and comment, and subscribe. So we only have 16 people in here. I am listening, waiting, and following you. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, they're looking over here, county car. So got fired for doing what's right. And they do that to a lot of people. Reporting wrong, and judges overturned his successful ruling by the administrative law judge. So that same judge that overturned the firing was set ready to hear my case, where they wrongly fired me. And you know what they did? They knew he was a honest, fair judge, so they replaced him with Judge Lefevre, the crooked judge. They replaced him with a hand-picked judge. So even if you find a judge, if you got one that's on the roster supposed to hear your case, they'll just replace them. They don't give a damn. They'll just replace the judge with one of their crooked judges. So you don't have a chance in the Tennessee courtroom. And that is reporting sexual harassment. Sexual harassment by somebody in authority, and judges condone that behavior. So, can everybody hear me? It says, I'm listening. I'm walking side, yeah, right. There's some wicked people in this world, some very wicked people. So, down to 12 people in here. Usually have over 100, so I don't know what the deal is. So like, share, and comment. We probably got a lot more than that. Whoops. Sometimes we don't know till the show goes off. But so judges are crooked. If you find an honest judge, you get fired for reporting sexual harassment, puts you back to work, even gives them a few breadcrumbs. They'll find one that's dirty as hell, and you'll get fired at the appeals court level. So that's just one case. A hero that risked his life, Marty Nix, and everybody knows that was crooked as hell, by a crooked Knoxville captain, Captain Ray Fletcher, a dirtbag, fat thug that spent his time outside the highway patrol post smoking by no smoking signs and breathing that damn nasty stuff inside the building, and giving his friends and family Trooper of the Year and breadcrumbing people who kept the roads safe, and promoting people who are dirty liars. His administrative lieutenant lied in court documents. They lie, and they don't care. You say, well, the judge will find out and discipline. No, they won't. The judges cover for these people. They cover for these dirty liars. And get whatever they want to do. We're talking about the dirty judiciary in the state of Tennessee. So welcome, y'all. We're almost to our signature location, and we're going to talk about some cases where they have raped people, took their drugs, and it only got found out after years later. And we're going to talk about how they take your property and violate the law in the state of Tennessee. So welcome, Charles Van Morgan Show. If you're just joining, we're talking about the dirty judiciary and your opportunity today, if you're in the state of Tennessee, to vote them out. They're on the ballot, replace, and we're talking about some cases where after years of abuse and mistreatment, they go so far into it that the judiciary can't continue to legitimize them. So they hang out a few, but it's still going on today. We're going to talk about the case of where they violated the contract law, rewrote a contract. And all across the United States, you know, in Kentucky, there's a case going on where a judge is accused, Judge Mullins, is accused of running a brothel out of a Kentucky courthouse. Now, it hasn't been proven, but a lot of witnesses are coming forth saying that he forced them to have sex with them in lieu of their criminal fines and cost in the courtroom, in the judge's chambers, not one, numerous of them. And so I believe it to be true. And the sheriff that shot him may, and I'm not condoning that, may have been acting out of anger from the wickedness of the judge. Now, I'm not saying he should have done that, but when the system is so wicked that it will not even discipline itself, it's institutional corruption, so every one of them are partly responsible for it, up to the governor, then people do things like that they shouldn't do. But they're responsible for their own demise. And I'm not condoning that. I'm saying don't do that. Let's vote them out. But you can't hardly try to protect people while they're raping women in the back hallway. I mean, they get what they paid for. And we're going to talk about there's judgment on the earth in this world, even if we lose. Even if we're going to get them to make concessions, hopefully, and fighting a good fight. And also, there's judgment on the earth because God's in control of things. And we're going to talk about some cases on the earth. Now, they spin it, but we're going to talk about some cases on the earth where God's judged people and some bad stuff has happened to them because they're evil, wicked people. And some of them still haven't learned a damn thing. What few are alive, they still think that people's prayers don't matter, and they do. So I'm telling you, don't shoot them, don't kill them. Go down on your knees and vote. Go down on your knees and pray, and then go down to the courthouses and the early voting places and vote. V-O-T-E, vote. So we're about to our signature location. Thank y'all very much. Like, share, and comment. And if you're on here, it doesn't show many viewers, so hit the like button. Let me know a bunch of people on here. Sometimes it won't show, but it's unusual for a Friday show. But from time to time, YouTube shadow bans me because they don't like what I got to say. But so, you know, that's a phenomenon that's rigged. But so like the show and help the algorithm, and call your friends and tell them to come on board. We're talking about the dirty Tennessee judiciary. And I got on here a little later today than I usually do because I also run another business. I had to make some money, and this doesn't pay that much. So contribute if you can. If you can't, hit the like button and share. And and I wasn't late for work, but I'll give you my late for work joke, but this is serious business. But I was late this morning getting on the show because my dog Rover doesn't have any legs, so I had to take him for a drag because, you know, he don't have any legs. And he rolled down a hill and I had to go catch him. So that's the reason why I was late getting on here. So, being sarcastic, it helps me to face reality, telling a joke every now and then, because it is stark, dark reality that we're looking at. And I'm trying to encourage people how serious this situation is. At 10 o'clock, you can show up at the early voting sites, and the early voting is tomorrow, and mark the replace box on your ballot on every judge that's up for retention. It'll say retention or replace. Every one of them, replace. Send these people a message that we're watching and we're in charge, and we're not going to tolerate this abuse of us. So look at the beautiful view, if you can see. We're talking about the dirty Tennessee judiciary and some real cases, some real good stuff today. As you look at the sun spear off in the distance, and so we'll talk about the Tennessee judiciary, how crooked they are. We campaigned in front of the courthouse yesterday, and we've got a sign for them in the next few days we may put down there that says to vote the judiciary out of office. Put that in front of the courthouse and campaign against these people. So get to our signature location and put out the truthful message that nobody else does. Subscribe to the channel about the dirty judiciary. They put out propaganda every damn day in their rulings. A lot of it false, not worth the paper it's written on, always against Tennesseans, against the mass populace of Tennesseans. So you have no rights in reality in the Tennessee courtroom. You got rights on paper, but we got to hold them to that. This is a fight. They're not going to give you your rights. You're going to have to fight for them. They're taking them away every day in every way. We're going to point out how. So did you see the crooked Tennessee courthouse from a distance? So if you're on here, like the channel. Sometimes it doesn't show me how many people in here. The picture icon is probably keeping YouTube from spreading it. I guarantee you they won't monetize this one. But it's the truth. So we'll go with it. So you may have to call your friends, tell them to get on board. And we're going to give you the dialogue that we got planned about the judiciary in the state of Tennessee. Great show for you. Hang on board. If you're not subscribed, you're watching the Charles Van Morgan Show. Unbridled news. More truth than you'll hear anywhere else. Unfiltered, unbridled, by somebody that knows what they're talking about. I'm the messenger, Charles Van Morgan. So hit the subscribe button. It'll help the algorithm. If you want to, I don't beg anybody to listen to me. will talk to God if you don't, and God will listen to people that pray if nobody else does. So God listens to me. So we'll put the message out if we're talking to the damn wall and God, because God listens and God knows. And God judges in the earth. And we're going to explain some things and tie them together about how God judges in the earth. Just like the nation of Israel. People are running them down. The anti-Semitic views are prolific. And I heard Tom Pippin on his show and his friend Rio and Travel, watch that show, great show, talk about how he loves Israel. And that's true. But people that are anti-Semitic out here got a big pulpit. That's dangerous business, to be talking and running down God's people. And if you're a Christian, you're God's people too. Dangerous business. There's a curse in the Bible, along with a promise of blessing for blessing Israel and a curse for cursing them. If you're anti-Semitic, you're out holding your head up, I'd be very careful. You're not messing with me, you're messing with God. That's what I believe. Now that's just a little spiritual thing. You look at all the talking heads that are standing up running him down, Marjorie Trader Green, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, and others, Candace Owens. Their lives are in jeopardy, not by me. There's a curse comes along with what they're doing. So let's follow, see what happens to them down the road. I've seen the wicked in great power spreading himself like a green bay tree. I looked again and he was not. Lo, he could not be found. That's right out of the Bible. So we're going to look at some factual things that I'm going to talk about. Tell you about people that are dead right now, underground, that have done some bad things to the world, to Tennesseans. And God judges in the earth. So, you know, you can think what you want, do what you want. I try to think what God wants me to think and do what God wants me to do. I fear God, not man, so I'd encourage everybody to do that. Everything's right in a man's own eyes. Is it okay with God? That's what I try to concern myself about. What I'm doing right now as we get to our signature location is all right with God Almighty. So can y'all hear me, or am I talking to the wall? If I'm talking to the wall, then let me know. So we got a few people on here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're going to get into the dialogue as you look at the beautiful view. So, some water today. And actually, it's kind of pleasant out here. A little bit hot, not that much. So, let's talk about the dirty judiciary in the state of Tennessee. So we have 4 cases. When you go vote, there's a replace by the judges. Vote replace. Right there it is. Clears a bell. And that's what I'm asking people to do. Replace the Tennessee Judiciary. All judges on the judiciary. So we got a sheriff here in Knox County that was elected by fraud because they didn't put out information about indictments that were coming to some of the other candidates. And he worked at the sheriff's department, so sheriff's deputies were indicted that he was around. He worked for the sheriff's department during the time they were committing crimes. Now the sheriff is not been indicted, but he was around those people in a high confluent position. Did he not see the crimes taking place, if in fact they did? And besides all that, the indictments didn't come out until after the election, which not me, but one candidate said that he wanted to have a re-vote because of the fact that indictments of his competitors came out after the election was over. So the public didn't get the information that they should have got, which makes sense to me. I mean, that's not high science, and asked for a recount, a revote, but they didn't redo the election. Information about the other candidates, one of them got more votes than him, about his alleged crimes came out after the vote was over. So had people known that he was going to be indicted, they might not have voted for him. They might have voted for the other candidate that wasn't even a member of the sheriff's department, and he ran on the fact to get rid of the good old boys. And he wasn't a member of the sheriff's department. And he had no way of knowing about the crimes. The sheriff in the sheriff's department now that got elected could have had the opportunity to know about what was going on. He may have. He's not going to say he did. Oops. Scared me. Do what?
Why'd you jump for him?
Why am I yelling?
No, why? Why'd you jump for him?
What'd I do? What now?
Why'd you jump for him?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, why'd you jump for him?
Why am I yelling for? I'm not yelling. This is my normal speech. So, how you doing?
Not as good as you are.
So I'm talking about the dirty judiciary in Tennessee. So he didn't talk about the sheriff's race right now, how the sheriff didn't. Okay. Good. So the sheriff's race, there's all kinds out here. The sheriff's race was rigged. And now the sheriff, you say, what's this have to do with judges? I'll tell you, now the sheriff is endorsing a judge, I think Andrea Klein, to be elected. Now she's running against a Democrat. Both of them are, I wouldn't vote for a Democrat because of their positions on other things, socialism and all kinds of other things, that I wouldn't vote for a Democrat unless they came out and said they weren't for these things, and also their position on murderous stuff they call health care. Want to keep law enforcement out of murder, Democrats do, and I don't agree with that. But Andrea Klein is running for a judge, and the sheriff is endorsing her. Imagine you're the sheriff, you're endorsing a judge that gets elected, and then you got her in your pocket because you said, hey, vote for her. So they're lining up their rulings against you. So you go into court with this sheriff that got elected by fraud in the first damn place, not according to me, according to the other candidate that run. And then he is endorsing a judge. Well, he'll get hearings in his favor, even if you didn't do anything wrong. So they're lining up the judiciary. The judiciary wouldn't be biased in Tennessee, would it? Yeah, it would. It damn sure is. So that's what has to do with judges. He's endorsing a judge. So I wouldn't vote for that judge, Andrea Klein. On my ballot, what I did was I just left it blank. And if she wins, at least you didn't take part in it, and people know she doesn't have a lot of public support. She was at the Attorney General's office when they dismissed hundreds of drunk driving cases. She worked at the Attorney General's office 4 years under the corrupt Sharman Tissue Allen, so that ought to tell you about her integrity and credibility. So, replace all judges. Robes off. Tennessee sex for favors judges. Remember that? Robes off. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. 4 scandals across Tennessee. These are just the ones we know about. And they went on for years before it got so bad it threatened the legitimacy of the higher echelon, the judges, so they had to hang them out, and they went light on them in order to maintain a semblance of credibility. So that's what goes on in Tennessee. Your crooked Tennessee judiciary. So 4 scandals, 1 state that keeps looking away. And boy, they do. Boy, they do, they do. And let's talk about these. So we have Casey Marlin, Nashville General Sessions Judge. 20 years on the bench. And I did say bench. FBI investigated whether he solicited sexual favors in exchange for favorable judicial conduct. He got caught, then he got desperate. So he devised a scheme to pay a material witness to sign a false affidavit recanting her statements against him. But that wasn't enough for him. This is a sitting judge, 20 years on the bench. They'd already had a previous complaint that was whitewashed over. That wasn't enough for him. It wasn't enough for him to pay a material witness to sign a false affidavit saying he was innocent. He also schemed to have drugs planted on the witness's car, then have police stop her to destroy her credibility. A popular tactic of the Tennessee Judiciary: destroy people's credibility. Say they did something they didn't do, even adjudicate that. And people believe judges, it's a judicial fact, it's adjudicated by liars. That's how come they're so dangerous, they have so much power. They've adjudicated false things against me. Without a jury, of course. A judge framing a woman with drugs to bury his own crime. A Tennessee judge did that on the bench for 20 years. Accused of selling rulings for sex. It's called rape. It happened in Tennessee. One that we know of. There's some more. 44 months sentence to prison. Restitution of $18,000, forfeiture $13,500. So, if you raped a woman, they'd throw away the key. And you'd be under the damn jail. 44 months for rape. He didn't even plead guilty to rape, it was reduced charges. The federal judge's words on Moreland showed a profound disrespect for the law, a reckless and self-centered mentality. That describes a lot of judges in state Tennessee. Talking about rape. Judges will rape you. Told you I'd back it up. Jonathan Lee Young, Cookville, 13th Judicial District. He didn't go to prison, he just ruled from the bench while chasing women in his courtroom. The board found he sent sexual messages to women in his robe soliciting explicit photos. One woman had an active adoption case in front of him. He ruled in her favor instead of recusing himself. Imagine that. Mode X, replace all judges. Robes off Tennessee sex for favors. Judges. That's what they do. So, suspended for the rest of his term is what he was given. Then voters showed him the door. Richard Baumgardner, here in Knox County, criminal court. Opioid addicted on the bench. Addicted to painkillers on the bench. Running major drug felony cases, adjudicating over drug felony cases, committing drug felonies, high on opioids at the time. He had a sexual relationship with a felon he supervised. So, he raped her. That's rape. She bought him pills. He protected her from the law he was sworn to enforce. So he's aiding and abetting a drug-addicted person. Andrea Klein, the judge, wants to be judge now, was right over here in the courthouse, right under his damn nose. We're going to elect her to judge. She didn't report Baumgardner, did she know? Maybe she did. She should have. The reason they didn't report it is because They got rulings that they wanted from him. They wanted him on the bench because he ruled in their favor against you. The federal judge has put him in prison. So numerous convictions thrown out because of Baumgardner. Retrials ordered because the judge trusted with justice was compromised in his own chambers. He was having sex in the back hallway with high on drugs from people from his drug court. It's called rape. And if you tried to get in there and stop it, to stop a rape, Knox County deputies would have stopped you from preventing a rape. They were guarding the judge for years. David W. Lanier. Go back to the 90s. A chancery judge sexually assaulting women. Employers, litigants, mothers fighting for custody in his own chambers. A chancery judge. His lawyers didn't say he didn't do it. They said the law never gave him a fair warning that having sex with people in your courtroom that had a case before you was wrong. Wow, imagine that. While he was being tried for that. That was his defense. No past case looked exactly like his, that he was raping women in the courtroom, so he shouldn't be held accountable because no one had ever been held accountable before. So he claimed the rules didn't apply to him yet. Well, what time would it if no case brought before the federal judiciary ever was held accountable? It never would. Got to be a first time. The Sixth Circuit tried to let him walk. Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals in Tennessee in the 90s tried to let the judge walk, protecting their own. A federal appeals court agreed with him that there was no previous precedent for a judge having sex with people in the courtroom, people that he adjudicated over, so it wasn't a crime. They threw out his convictions, inventing a special higher bar that no past Supreme Court case had ever required. So they created a high bar for themselves. Imagine that. The federal court did. The Supreme Court of the United States stepped in and shut it down. 9 justices, 1 answer, unanimous decision. No special protection, no loophole by the judiciary. A judge doesn't get to hide behind a technicality for rape. They had to get that all the way to the Supreme Court before justice was ever ruled. You can't have sex with litigants in your courtroom. It's a crime. For a judge, imagine you doing that. People can't imagine. They wouldn't rape people. Imagine somebody doing that to you and getting by with it. It happened for years. Think about that. It took the highest court in America to stop other judges from letting one of their own off the hook. Think about the bias that still survives today. That's not an outlier. That's the system protecting itself. We need to stop this cover-up of the dirty judiciary in the state of Tennessee. So, let's talk about some cases. God judges in the earth. Even if these judges get by with their corruption, God still judges in the earth. Here's a dirty judge right down here at this courtroom, Judge McMillan, who violates people's constitutional rights to due process every day in that courtroom. If he said stuff to you out on the street that he said in that courtroom to you, unarmed, it'd be fighting words. So we'll talk about some cases. Got almost 100 in here. Talk about some cases. Thank y'all. Like, share, and comment, subscribe. We'll talk about some cases. where these judges might get by with what they're doing, ruling for the hierarchy. How can you get a fake case through a courtroom? You own the judge. That's what this man said. Did. Now God judges in the earth. This man was high in power, the highest power in law enforcement in the state of Tennessee. Tracy trots to the bathroom. Lied on me in court documents. He's a liar. Caused the fatality rate to skyrocket. So he did what he wanted to do. He had the judges. He had the gods on the earth in his pocket. He could frankly do whatever he wanted to do. For a little while he could. But God judges in the earth. Had this judge go along with him. Another crooked judge right here. Judge Dawkins. Now he ain't even a judge anymore. I have much more education than this judge. Sat behind a desk in safety and ruled against me while I was out on the road in harm's way, protecting the public, including him. Judge Dawkins. Now he's deceased now. He is dead, which is for the protection of the public. That's a good thing. If you ask me, he ruled against the truth every day, all day long. Backing up, Tracy trots to the bathroom, but God judges in the earth. There's another rogue judge, Chancellor McCoy. Now she ruled against me, and then her husband gets promoted to the Supreme Court. Imagine how that works out for these people. They're crooked as hell. But God's greater than any problem. And he adjudicates in the earth. God judges in the earth. And you can depend on God. You can't depend on man. You can depend on God. So, Joe Walker, he's worked for the sheriff's department. Now, he lied in police reports, and the judges didn't even worry about lies in police reports. They stamped away the law on his lies. Joe Walker. As far as I know, he still works at the sheriff's department down here. He knew he could lie in a police report because a rogue judge, would overlook it and use this false evidence as proof. He works in the warrants department. The warrants department just killed somebody the other day. So, you got somebody in Knox County Warrants Department that lies. So let's look at Mr. Tracy Trots. Hello. Now you see McCoy ruled against me, and see right there by the power, and then he gets promoted to the Supreme Court Justice. But let's look at Tracy Trots, because God judges in the earth. Our soldiers fought and died for just, fair court systems. Patrick Fitzgibbon, 19 years old, killed fighting for the Constitution, due process. Did we get that? No, they trample on his blood. So, now I was at this in 2022 saying vote no retention. Still at it, I don't give up. Vote no retention today. So, Tracy Trots lied about me, endangered my children. And he died in his 70s, just a few days ago. God judges in the earth. Now, some people say, that it was his time to go. Yeah, he went a little bit early, didn't he? He went a little bit early because God judges in the earth. There's penalty for people who lie under oath and lie about things. So you see, they ruled against me. Court sides with the decision a fire trooper drove past fatal Of course they do. Facts and law don't matter when you can get a promotion for ruling for the gov. 78 lives lost because of Tennessee government corruption. So of course they allow lies. You get promoted for ruling for the governor. So Tracy Trotz is dead because of lies. He lied about stuff and caught up with him. I believe he died in his early 60s. So 13 years, 11 months, and approximately 21 days from the day he lied on me. He's dead now. Imagine that. And he was a deacon in a church. His life represented causing a lot of people to get killed on Tennessee roadways. But God judges in the earth. And God judged him, I believe. Caused him to die an early death. So God judges in the earth. Even if we don't win, we can still get justice by praying about things. So 13 years in his 70s, he's dead. So God judges in the earth, these dirty judges. Even if we don't win, even if we don't get them reelected, God judges in the earth. So 43 days after they took my job from me. And this isn't just about me, they're doing it to you. Lion Lowell Russell, who lied on me, got taken off the job too. In a fiery wreck, got killed. Ambulance people brought him back to life. But he was DRT, dead right there on the interstate at about the 380. God judges in the earth. Now I know the way they frame it, he's a hero because he's an idiot. But he lied on me. He used the death of somebody to get people infuriated against me. They say tried by fire. I think it was tried by God. So just a few days, 43 days after he lied on me, took my job from me, God took his job from him. Lion Lowell Russell. Right here he is. 23 days later. So yeah. So here's a picture of him right here, where he apologizes for yelling at people. Yeah, he used to do that a lot to me. A piece of dung. God judges in the earth. And Lion Lowell Russell, there's still other trucks out there. He hasn't corrected what he's done. His best friend said that Lowell was his girlfriend. Friends with the media, put out trash about me in the media. Just a few days after, a few years after she lied on me, she was hit in a very bad car wreck. And taken off the job for about a year. She's now retired. She's been she's still in valor. Still in valor. Put my picture on the front page of the paper, endangering my life, saying I let a little child burn to death. And she, just a few short years later, was in a bad car wreck. God judges in the earth. And there's other cars out there on or off duty. She hadn't corrected what she's done. So that's 3 people that lied on me, that a dirty Tennessee courtroom backed them up. Caused 78 more people to get killed just that year. Hundreds more in the past few years. Bad stuff happened to them. So I'm saying, and they held Lion Lowell Russell as a damn hero. Got himself a permanent yard sign. That's how the world works. Permanent yard sign, held him as a hero. Saying he was injured on the job. He was judged by God on the job, I believe. And so God judges in the earth. These people, even if they get elected. So here's now retired Major Stacey Heatherly. God judges on the earth. She's the one that caused the fatality rate to skyrocket. Head-on collision by a apparent drunk driver, and one that I might have got off the road for her. But God judges in the earth. God judges in the earth. So it was April the 3rd, 2024, just a few years after she lied on me. 12 years and 1 month. Got hit by a car. Sometimes justice is a little on down the road. See, 1 dead, 1 in a car wreck, taken off the job, another in a car wreck, now taken off the job. Bad ones. Look at this wreck. Right here. God judges in the earth. Even if these judges get it wrong, God works in mysterious ways. I'm just saying. And I pray about this stuff, that these people will make things right, or God will hold them accountable. That's called accountability. That's accountability. 12 years. It takes some time sometimes. Accountability. She's even stealing valor. She says she was in the 278th, 1175th Tennessee Army National Guard. Captain Heatherly is also a 20-year military veteran, retired from the 278th, 1175th Tennessee National Guard. So she's alleging that she's in the military. She never served a day. She never served a day in the military. That's a lie. It's a lie. She lied in the investigation involving me. 12 years and 1 month after she lied. There was no judge. The judge ruled in her favor. Somebody who steals valor, who Kim Burchett has a selfie with picture with her. Somebody stealing valor. And God judges people on the earth. That's what I think. Like I said, you follow some of these people that criticize the nation of Israel, there's a curse. Look for car wrecks. I'm not just saying, I am telling you. God has organized society in a just way, and sometimes it comes around on the planet Earth. Not all the time, sometimes it does. Especially if people pray. Here's Tracy Trotz. He lied, endangered my children. He's dead, gone, out of here, in his 60s. I'm in my 60s. Hopefully I'll outlive him. He had the best health care in the world. Full retirement as a colonel of the Highway Patrol. Didn't get to enjoy his retirement that much, did he? Gone. He's a liar. He's a fraud. He's a wicked man. People got killed on the roads because of this man. Your children, some of your children are dead because this man here. That's the truth. But God took him out of this world. God judges on the earth. 2026, Tracy G. Trott to the bathroom. And he's a deacon in a church. Here are these inbreds. Family, friends, relatives, all getting drunk on company time. And God judges in the earth. Quite often. Quite often. So, if you're just watching, we're talking about the dirty judiciary. If they don't do their job, God can do his job. He don't need them. We don't need them. We got to do what we got to do and try to get them voted out. But if we don't get them voted out, God has a way of doing things other ways. Watch their life, put two and two together. So there's 3 people that have paid the price for doing wrong. Let's talk about one wrong judge can take everything you got. What happens when a judge leaves important facts out of a ruling and rules for these people? You might expect another court to correct the mistake. But what happens when the courts care more about ending the case than correcting the result? The basic dispute. Dr. Brian Bush and his wife borrowed money from a bank for commercial property. What if it had been the Haslams? Be the same result? I don't think so. The property secured the loan in that case. And when the loan went into default, the bank foreclosed on the property. That's all they could get during the COVID. The bank then sued the Bushes personally for the money it claimed it was still owed. We're talking about dirty judiciary. But God's got Mr. Bush. What makes a contract? A basic contract normally requires offer, acceptance, and consideration. If you got that, you got a contract. So, one side proposes an agreement and the other side accepts. And if the side accepts before the offers are revoked, then it's a contract if you have each side gives or promises something of legal value on each side. A gift is not a contract. You can revoke a gift. You can't revoke a contract after it's accepted. So they had a legal contract. If it's more than $500, it has to be in writing in order to be enforced. So this was in writing. The Bushes signed the loan documents and pledged the property. The written contract was supposed to control the deal. The important contract language. One part of the written agreement stated, I'm not personally liable for payment of this debt. Now that was in the contract. Contract is the only laws that you impose on yourself. Other laws are imposed on you, like speeding, drunk driving. You don't have to agree to it. That's the speed limit. You go over it, you can get a ticket. Contract law is stuff that there's no written law that you have to do this stuff, but you agree to follow the rules in that document that you signed, so you're self-imposing the rule of law on you. If you go to court, they're supposed to, if you try to renege, they're supposed to impose it on you. Self-imposed law. And I'm not saying contracts are bad, they're good. They keep the other side under the same agreement that they did. So they're binding. There's only a few ways to get out of contracts. Hello. So, got a pretty little girl here and her family. So, contracts are binding, supposed to be. A judge's not supposed to rewrite a contract. Only if there is undue influence, which is an extreme case where someone didn't know what they were doing and has a lot of elements to prove. There was no undue influence in this case. It involved lawyers at a bank. They knew what they're doing. It'd be hard to prove undue influence when you're dealing with lawyers. They know exactly what they're doing. They know the lawyers should know. If there's any undue influence, should have been on Mr. Bush's side, and he's not a lawyer, and he was wanting to enforce the contract. They weren't. Or if it's an illegal contract, you can't enforce that. So, Dr. Bush argued what the contract said. The property secured the debt, and that he was not supposed to be personally liable after foreclosure. So he bought the property, secured by the property, put down payment money down, bought the property. And if he couldn't pay the loan amount for the property, they were supposed to go get the property, and that's all they were supposed to get according to the contract. That's what they agreed to. So he had to go in default because of COVID, and it was commercial property, and he couldn't make the payments. So the bank went and got the property, like they had every right to do. And then, in violation of the contract, they sued him for the difference, what they said was the difference, even though there wasn't. They bought their own property and they lowballed. So, we're talking about dirty judges. So you think, if you go to court, basic, simple contract law that's been in existence for hundreds of years, how people negotiate and are bound by contracts. Only in extreme cases will you be let out of a contract. If it's a legal contract, you can't sign a contract to sell illegal drugs and go to court if you don't get paid. The judge is not going to enforce that. This wasn't a legal contract. Undue influence or some other fraud, there was no fraud in this contract. So it was a legal binding contract that the judge should have enforced. Simple case. But the court ruled the opposite. The original judge found the loan documents were ambiguous. So, I'm not personally liable for payment of this debt. It's not ambiguous. The original judge found that was ambiguous. The judge considered an entire group of documents and testimony about what the parties supposedly intended. What they intended was, that's all they got back was the property. The court then ruled that the Bushes were personally liable. So he's taking part of the contract out and putting in something that wasn't there, rewriting the contract. Dr. Bush's complaint was simple. The written contract said he was not personally liable. He wasn't. The court interpreted it to mean that he was. Wow. So a dirty Tennessee judge. Did the judge rewrite the contract? Yes. Dr. Bush described the ruling as effectively removing part of the contract and rewriting it to mean the opposite. And that's what the judge did. It gets worse. He was not necessarily saying the judge physically tore up the document. He was saying the court legally treated the protective language as if it had no effect, which is what they did. Might as well tore it up. What is contract interpretation? A judge may interpret a contract when its language is genuinely unclear, but that's not unclear. Courts generally say they should read the contract as a whole, give ordinary meaning to its words, try to give every provision some effect, avoid making important language meaningless, avoid rewriting the agreement for the parties. And that's exactly what a judge trained in the law did. He violated this. He didn't take the contract as a whole. He didn't give the words their ordinary meaning. He didn't give every provision the same effect, and he rewrote the contract. Why? Because it's a bank. Big, powerful bank. The central question, was the contract truly ambiguous? No, it wasn't. Or did the court create ambiguity because one provision contracted the result the court reached? A judge should interpret the contract. A judge should not make a new contract. And the judge made a new contract behind Bush's case. He ran for U.S. Senate in Tennessee, got a lot of votes, about 5,000, on this issue of judicial corruption. Now, it's a big deal. Happens all across Tennessee. We're just pointing it out. We just talked about 4 judges that we know of who have raped women. This is a judge with a dirty ruling. Talked about the dirty judge's ruling in Marty Nix's case. You get a good judge, they'll appeal it to a higher, more connected to the trash and rule against you. So, the bank's appraisal, and that's just one thing they did him dirty. A judge, they'll take everything you got. They'll rape, rob, take everything you got from you. So, they took his property, which was theirs. They didn't have a right to seek further payment from him. They already got the property. That's what they agreed to. They lowballed the property, bought it at a low cost, and said that he owed them more money. Foreclosed. The bank relied on an appraisal value of the property at approximately $1,050,000. That's what they paid for the property. The Bushes relied on appraisal valuing it much higher, because if they appraised the value much higher, the bank got back much more money and he wouldn't have to pay anything, but he shouldn't have to pay anything anyway. The lower the property value, the more money the bank could claim was still owed. So this is what this big, powerful bank is doing to one man and his wife. And this is what they'll do to you too. In spite of the agreement, agreements are meaningless. Contract law, hundreds of years, meaningless. The original judgment, the original court accepted the bank's position. The Bush was ordered to pay a deficiency of approximately $640,783, more than $500,000 that they had to pay him, in addition to they got the land back, which is all they should have got. Gave the rich, powerful bank everything it wanted in spite of evidence, in spite of the contract. Here you go. So they go into court and get whatever the hell they want to do. It's about power and money. It's not about the law. I know contract law. Simple. Of course, the contract. Bank, you got your property, that's all you can get. You sign there on the dotted line, case dismissed. No further action. If you bring a case again trying to get more money, we'll sanction you, Mr. Bank. But no, they won't do that for the big, fancy, powerful banks. They got money. And that was before adding interest costs and attorney fees. So they gave the bank everything they wanted. In spite of an agreement that they had originally signed, another judge reviewed it. So there are some good judges. A different judge later viewed the evidence. That judge found mistakes of law and fact. Imagine that, a lot of them. And this is just one case. They take your kids away. Highest bidder. The Tennessee Judiciary is a cesspool of sickness. I'm not speaking about this from a distance. I've met these judges close up and personal, spent 18 years in courtrooms, more than most troopers, trying to protect the roads, and listen to these dirt bags and their foolish rulings, letting people get out of serious crimes that are in the know and making people that were innocent pay full price. And I didn't convict them, others did. So I know what I'm talking about. They're dirty as hell. Get up today and go vote. So this other judge, and there are some, she didn't rule what she should have ruled, dismissed the case in favor of the Bushes in all aspects, and make them pay back some money for the property because it's worth more than what was owed. Make the bank give them an evaluation. But that was not Mr. Bush's allegation. The first judge, another Tennessee judge, found that significant facts had been left out, and they were. When the judge wrote his memorandum of opinion, the first judge, he left out the item, I think it was 17, where it said that he wasn't personally liable for the loan, the property was, not him. A provision in the contract, self-imposed by the bank. They imposed themselves to that agreement. But later they wanted more. They got a judge to agree with them. They'll agree with any damn thing they want them to do. What was wrong with appraisal? The second judge found serious problems with the bank's appraisal evidence. According to the published court history, she found that the appraisal relied on questionable data, did not adequately justify the data, reached its violation without sufficient reasonable analysis. So she ruled the other judge did wrong. She found that the property should have been valued at approximately $1,520,000. So $1.5 million over. The judgment dropped after the second judge considered the omitted facts and appraisal problems, which she still didn't adjudicate exactly right, but she adjudicated a little closer to the truth. She reduced the deficiency from approximately $640,783, close to $1 million, to approximately $100,000, $99,736. That's a difference of more than $500,000. Omitted facts were not minor. They changed the result by more than $500,000. Very impactful to a family. Dr. Bush and his wife. He spent his life working, providing health care for people day to day. It took a long time, even at a doctor's pay, to earn that much money. And these judges just gave it to the bank. They're not laughing all the way to the end of the bank. All the way to the bank, they're laughing, they're in the bank. Talking about dirty judges in Tennessee. 4 cases where they raped people 4 years, the ones we know about. A case where they upheld the firing of an individual for reporting sexual harassment. Where's the Me Too movement? Even though the original judge put him back to work, the higher you go, the more wrong they get, the more in favor of the governor, the more they lie, because that's why they're promoted, for lying. And this judge here that gave the bank everything it wanted, they're laughing in the bank. So this judge overturned some of the verdict and just told they had to pay $100,000 instead of almost $1 million. So cut down some of the pain, even though they should have awarded that the Bushes got back money because the property was worth more than what the loan was, I believe. So the bank should have had to pay them some money. That won't ever happen. They'll go for the powerful bank. The bank appealed the corrected judgment. The appellate court proved that the second judge's findings were wrong. So you do have a trial court ruling for the bank, all aspects. Give them the house, give them the farm, make you pay a deficit that doesn't exist. A later appeals court adjudicated, or knocked the valuation down where the Bushes only have to pay $100,000 instead of about $1 million. So the bank appeals that, and the appeals court above the other, would it correct the judgment? Did it conduct a new trial on the appraisal evidence? No. Did it decide that no significant facts had been omitted? No. The appellate court reversed because the Bushes Rule 60 motion they allege was filed after the applicable 1-year deadline. So they appealed a false ruling, and they adjudicated against them, not on merit, on the facts, on merit, but on a technicality, because the judge committed fraud, which is not subject to statutes of limitations. An ordinary Rule 60 motion based on fraud, mistake, or misconduct generally has strict time limits. A true independent action alleging fraud upon the court may the same fixed 1-year deadline, but an extraordinary remedy. Courts will not allow it to become a second appeal or another way to relegate issues that could have been raised earlier. Fraud upon the court is more serious than merely claiming that a witness lied or that evidence is wrong. It generally involves corruption or deception that damages the integrity of the judicial process. It damages the integrity of the judicial process when judges rewrite a contract. That's basic contract law 101, first year class. That's fraud upon the court when the judge did that. Dr. Bush argued that judges or officers of the court omitted material facts and allowed a false result to stand. So the judge, in the first case, committed fraud on the court because, in his opinion, he didn't mention anything about the item that he took out, which said that the Bushes weren't responsible financially for that loan, just the property. Took that out and added that they were. He didn't write that in his memorandum of opinion. He just left that important material fact out. That's fraud on the court. So Dr. Bush argued that the judges or other officers of the court omitted material facts and allowed a false result to stand. The later courts did not necessarily hold a new trial and prove that every one of his allegations were false. They largely ruled that he could not keep using new filings to attack the final judgment. Why not? The court relied on the principle of finality. The legal term is res judicata. That generally means a matter that has already been finally decided cannot be repeatedly litigated between the same parties. Finality is important. Cases cannot continue forever, but finality does not necessarily prove that the original decision was correct. A judgment can be final and still be wrong, and they have a lot of wrong decisions that are final. The hard question, what should happen? One judge enters a judgment exceeding $640,000. Another judge finds significant facts were omitted. The second judge reduces the judgment by more than $500,000. The correction is reversed because the request came too late. Should the deadline control or should the court correct a materially wrong result? That's the conflict at the center of this case. An unfair contract. Sometimes people say a contract is so unfair that it shouldn't be enforced. That's the legal concept of conscionability. That's not what happened in this case. A contract is invalid, not invalid merely because one side later regrets it or because the deal is unfavorable. The terms generally must be extremely impressive, unfair to one side. That wasn't the case in this contract. It was not so one-sided that it shocked the conscience of the court. The contract should have been upheld. A contract of adhesion is another reason to avoid a contract. This wasn't in there. A contract of adhesion is usually a standardized take it or leave it agreement. One side has most of the bargaining power. The weaker party has little realistic opportunity to negotiate. But a contract of adhesion is not automatically invalid. The court normally looks at whether its terms are oppressive, unexpected, or unconscionable. Now, these are reasons to avoid a contract. None in this case, but the judge did anyway for the bank. The stronger argument here, the strongest issue may not be whether this commercial loan was a contract of adhesion. The question is, why did the bank's own document contain language saying Dr. Bush was not personally liable? Because that's what they agreed to, and the judge committed fraud by not putting it in his memorandum opinion. Why was that language not enforced according to its ordinary meaning? Because of bias by the judiciary for a rich, powerful bank. When the drafter creates conflicting language, why should the other party bear the entire loss? They shouldn't. Then came more attorney's fees. After the original judgment was reinstated, the Bushes also required to pay additional attorney fees. The loan documents allowed the bank to recover collection costs. So the Bushes faced the larger judgment, interest, court costs, the bank attorney fees, additional fees from later appeals. When judges get it wrong, you pay double. Sometimes you pay 3 or 4 times. Peacefully trying to enforce your contract rights or just rights peacefully in a court of law costs these people a lot of money. So later, like the widow in the Bible, she kept going before the unjust judge to try to get her rights because trying to exercise her rights, trying to get what was due her. The unjust judge finally adjudicated in her favor because the widow was continuing to worry him, not because he was just. So the Bushes kept trying to worry the courts and get justice. The Bushes continued trying to challenge the results. The courts viewed the later filings as attempts to relitigate matters that had already been decided. A later lawsuit was dismissed with prejudice, means they can't file it again. The Bushes were sanctioned. They were ordered to pay more attorney's fees. Restrictions also placed on them for future filings. So that's what the Bushes got going up against the bank in Tennessee. The contract was meaningless. So the Bushes' position, how can you litigate fairly when another judge found that significant facts were omitted and that results were wrong by more than $500,000? They do not believe they were merely repeating a losing argument. They believe they were trying to correct a judgment built on omitted facts and a rewritten contract that the judge wouldn't let them do. They stopped listening. But later courts did not necessarily prove every Bush allegation wrong after a new evidentiary hearing. Instead, they repeatedly ruled that the issue had already been decided or should have been raised sooner. They did not prove him wrong. They decided they were finished listening. That's your Tennessee courts. Contracts matter. They're supposed to create certainty. People and businesses must be able to rely on written promises. If a contract says one thing, but a court can make it mean the opposite, what protection does the written agreement provide? Zero. Why material facts matter. A ruling does not become accurate merely because a judge wrote it. A court opinion can create a false or complete narrative when it leaves out material facts, misstates testimony, ignores contradictory evidence, describes the document inaccurately, fails to address evidence that could change the result. A real document can be used to create a false story. These judicial rulings are full of crap. More than just that, a real video can be used to create a false story. Real evidence can be surrounded by a false narrative. Judicial accountability. They have numerous power over you, and they need to be held accountable. So like, share, and comment. Got about 70 people in here. Judicial accountability. Judges have a numerous power. Your property, your money, your business, your family, your reputation, your freedom. That power must come with accountability. They have none now. Today you can make it accountable. Go vote, not retain them. The public should examine judicial records, court opinions, and treatment of ordinary citizens. Voting consequences. Tennessee trial judges are elected. Tennessee appellate judges later face statewide retention elections. When judges appear on the ballot, voters should learn their records. Did they follow the written law? No. Did they fairly address material evidence? No. Do they protect constitutional rights? No. Do they impose fair proportional sanctions? No. So vote them out. They may not care when one citizen complains. They care when the voters impose consequences. A second judge in that case found significant facts had been omitted. She found mistakes of law and fact. She questioned the bank's appraisal evidence. She reduced the judgment by more than $500,000. That correction was reversed because the motion was too late. The larger judgment returned attorney fees added. Later challenges brought additional sanctions and expenses. When judges get it wrong, you don't just pay for the original mistake. You pay the other side to keep that mistake in place. The courts demand the citizens respect final judgments. Citizens have the right to demand that judges respect written contracts, material facts, and the truth. Send a message today. Go down and mark replace. The message is: do not rewrite our contracts. Do not omit material evidence. Do not punish people for trying to correct a serious error. And do not expect voters to ignore you. That's the message that we need to send today to the judiciary. They're crooked as hell. So, thank y'all for watching. We'll try to have a show on Monday if we can. Here's a card from my new friend Anthony Carter. It is Carter Homes Remodeling LLC. A great man. Watch Euro and Travel, great show. Tom Pippin and his friend. They're moving up on getting close to 100,000 viewers, and they'll get a silver award. So help them. I think they got almost 36,000 subscribers. So help them get 100,000. Help me get 100,000 subscribers. Also, hit the like and share button and like today. So we're getting shadow banned today for some reason. Why, I don't know. Go figure. We'll read some of the comments. And thank y'all for joining. We'll read some of the comments. See what some of y'all got to say. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Hello, Wiseman. Hello. I'm the first one here. Thank you. Somebody's redacting a lot. Charles, one question: how can you be talking but not looking at the chat? Easy. Don't like what the chat says a lot of times. A lot of haters in there. So why should I? Let's see what it says here. It says, oh my, he had a knife behind you. Wearing that ball cap backwards, ridiculous. You're not a toddler. Hello there. Are you doing today? Lots of prayers. Thank you for the prayers. What happens if they threaten you to stop a contractor? Could you get out of it? I don't know. Every right I was taught as a kid had been voted by the time I'm 35. He ratting out dirty cops and judges. That's right. Absolutely lunatic, mega lame-o. Okay. And you're helping my show. Or the Trumpers whining about today. Disgruntled employees have brought down a lot of movers and shakers. So if you get caught committing a crime as a cop, you just say all of those judges are dirty and they lied on you. Got it. Yeah, that's not true. God is judging you right now, Charles. No, he's not. Charles Van Morgan let a guy burn to death in his car and lost his job because of it. Justice served. That's not true. I've saved people out of cars. That's a lie. And if you think I'm so wrong, why do you spend time on my channel? So, I mean, that's kind of stupid, isn't it? You're an idiot for chasing somebody around to try to defame them. So, and I'm still going to put out the truth. And nameless piece of shit. I've protected more people than anybody on Tennessee roadways. So everybody's a liar except you, right? No. Well, there's a lot of haters in here, and you wonder why I don't read the chats, because there's a lot of sick, pathetic, disgusting, good-for-nothing, worthless people on the chat. And I'll be back here Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, still doing a show, and You can put your chat on there all you want to, and I'll still be here. And if you want to get a show, put your name on there, go ahead. If you want to get on my show and waste your time, go ahead, because I appreciate you, because you're helping the algorithm, you idiots. So he's not being productive, just into stupid. If you don't like Alliance Defending Freedom, appoint judges and voting, okay. Better would be more productive than this. Yeah, I did vote. I voted. I vote them out, every one of them. So, yeah, there's some sick people, and I pray for protection and judgment for some of you people. You think God's funny, don't you? So, I mean, you know, be sick at your own demise. Seems like you just pissed off because you got fired. That's not true. You're just a slanderer that doesn't have anything better to do than show up on somebody's YouTube channel and print lies. And I pray that you'll be judged for that you'll suffer consequences. And if I knew who you are, I'd put your picture on here and say that about you. In fact, that brings up some important stuff, because thank y'all for pointing it out. Because we'll put some pictures up here, some dirty people that are running me down. We'll put some pictures up here and show you some nasty pictures of people on here that are doing some bad stuff, and like you spamming me, which is, I mean, if I didn't have nothing better to do than to get on somebody's YouTube channel and try to raise hell with them, that's pretty disgusting. You're pretty damn stupid. So here's a lady that ran me down. Let me show you this lady. We'll show you what happens to spammers. So she got on my YouTube channel, this lady here, Sherry Garrett, spammer. She got on here. See, I got her number a long time ago. Liberty, Knox County, Tennessee. Moms for Mass Shootings. They said they wanted to plow down school librarians with a freaking gun. So she got on Facebook, this woman here, Sherry Garrett, running me down. You know, about a year ago. She's still on my political hit list. So, you know, find out who you are, and I'll put you on here and stand you out. So, you know, you can spam me all you want to. Ford 5937. If I find out who you are, faceless piece of dirt, then, you know, I'll do you like her. Sharon Garrett, you know, she said some nasty stuff about me. I said that I was a lifelong Tennessean and lived in Knoxville since I was 4 years old. And she got on YouTube saying that she talked to people, and that I'd never been to any school here. Trying to say I was lying, that I didn't grow up in Knoxville. I went to a private Christian school. She's a liar. A member of Knoxville Liberty, and they promoted mass school shootings. So I'm just saying, if you want to mess around, play, then put yourself in politics. Hey, that's fine with me. Put you in politics, but it can be a pretty difficult game. Whoops, sorry about that. It can be a pretty difficult game. So you might want to be careful. You might want to be careful what you do, because when I find out who you are, I'll put you out on my channel, maybe make a flyer about you. I've literally made flyers about Tennessee judges. So you're messing with somebody that knows how to mess. and don't care to, enjoys every damn bit of it. So if you think you're on here and you want to get some stuff over your head, keep at it. You might not like what you catch. Just telling you, I'm not a toy. Been here, done that, know what I'm doing, and you don't. So I'd be very careful about your dirty spams, because if I ever find out who you are, everybody will know who you are. Because you're lying. I mean, here's a judge. Here's a judge. Judge with me on. Sit right over here in this courtroom. A nasty, pathetic, vulgar mouth piece of dung violates people's constitutional rights. Now that's a sitting judge over here. That's already ruled against me, and I'm calling him a dirty thug piece of dirt. Had a flyer made, I passed it out in 95 counties. If I'm not afraid to tell the truth about a judge, you think I'm afraid of you nasty people on your own. I mean, you gotta catch the clue. This game ain't for you, you ain't tough enough. So, and I pray too. I pray about this judge. He's a dirty, pathetic human being, disgusting to be on our benches here in Knox County. Must be yellow teeth from smoking too much. 4th Circuit Court Judge McMillan. So, if you want to play, you better get you some good data, because it might not be pretty for you. I haven't been in a public forum yet this year, or in the past 2 years, that I haven't had hecklers, because they don't like what I say. So I got it. I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me. I damn guarantee you won't like me telling the truth about you if I find out who you are. So, you're really kind of funny. People stepping stuff over their head and they don't know what they're talking about. I am politically challenging the Tennessee Supreme Court. You think I'm afraid of you? It's like Clint Eastwood. Bill was chasing him down, getting a posse together to chase Clint Eastwood around. He had his friend Ned murdered outside the bar. They were trying to get a posse to go after Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood, Josie Wells in the movie, went and found them. He went right in the bar where they were at. He was, the posse wasn't hunting him down, he was hunting the posse. So they got it wrong. And you got it wrong here. I mean, you're a little bit confused. We're hunting them, they're not hunting us. We're hunting them. I mean, they think they're hunting us, getting a posse together, but we're there, we'll show up where the posse's at. Clint Eastwood walks in that bar and he said, who's the owner of this shithole? And who's the owner of those nasty posts? And Bill said, you're Josie Wells, you've killed men, women, and children. Bill said, yeah, I have. Now I'm here to kill you, Bill. Now we're going to kill people politically. I'm going to bury them politically, trying to. We're on this. Know exactly what I'm doing. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here for. That's my calling on the planet. You do you and I'll be me. If you're a troll, I got some medicine for you. I'm a troll dehumidifier. So he said, who's the owner of this shithole? And they pointed out the bartender. Josie Wells shot him. Boom! Back, everybody in the bar standing there. And they said, you just shot an unarmed man. Clint Eastwood said he should have armed himself before he decorated his bar with my friend Ned, because he had this friend Ned outside the bar dead in a chair with a nasty sign on it. So he killed the bartender because he killed decorating his bar. So he told him he should have armed himself before he decorated his bar with my friend Ned. And then told Bill he was there to kill him. They was out getting a posse for him. He went right in the middle of the posse. He was looking for them. Who's chasing who? You better keep that in mind. People that know how to fight, you're not chasing me. Never run from anybody. If you look at the data, there's a lot of proof there. So you better be careful what you're messing with. You might not like what you get a hold of. It might burn your ass, not mine. So don't worry, I've been there, done that before. And politics, you know, win or lose, we win. We're here to not negotiate. We're here to seek and destroy politically, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're on it. Got the front page of the paper the other day. I know exactly what I'm doing. Pretty damn good at it too. You know how you piss people off? Disagree with them in a respectful manner. They get mad as hell and pray about things. Pray about things. So, people have died. God takes people out of the world. There's justice on the planet. There's justice in the way that God makes things, especially when people pray, and we need to vote out the judiciary and get some justice in our Tennessee courtrooms. So thank y'all for joining me. We haven't had many viewers today, but we'll keep the faith, keep the fight. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for joining. As I always try to say, and Monday we might put a sign down at the voting booth. It's not very kind to the judiciary. Try to stand them out. We still got a case in federal court. We're still campaigning. If news comes up today that is important that we can get to, we'll go live with the news. So God bless y'all. Thank you very much for joining. Until next time, God loves you and I do too.